Hello and welcome back again to our show and our investigations, and our latest one, which this year being COVID year, we found some activity around April with a family in distress. Again, Kennoway. I don't know why we keep getting things in Kennoway, but this will be Kennoway number 3 for us. This was a most interesting case of a kind I haven't dealt with in 20 years, and this would be a poltergeist case, an active, violent spirit in an occupied house. This is no castle, this is no ruin, this is an occupied house. A lovely house, in fact, and we got to experience over 5 visits the poltergeist in action, and this is why we're here. The case came to us via Roger.
Yeah, a friend of a friend got in touch, and I knew these people loosely, but hadn't spoken to them for a long time. But they had strange things going on in their house. Like there was like dampness and stuff. They were doing some renovations, and it's an old property, but it's been modernised over time, and an extension put on it, and it's got 2 bedrooms and that. I think must be over almost 150-year-old building or something. What work been done to it over the years?
It was modern inside, dry lined, very attractive house, thick carpets. And generally, I could live there. I liked it. It was a nice place. And a nice first place we've been to that had a nice feeling to it. It was a bungalow, we have to add, with a couple of trapdoor hatches going into the loft.
Yeah, and it's a loft where
the problem started.
Yeah, they were clearing out stuff, but they went up to fix with the dampness. They'd been getting, was it slaters and things coming through?
They had beasties coming through the trapdoor. Slaters are known for loving the damp. So this started to worry them, and they'd never been up, and how long had they had the house?
I think about 8 years maybe.
About 8 years.
Never been in the loft.
Never been in the loft, so it's not a place you hang about, but certainly they got a ladder and went up into the loft to see what was causing the slaters.
And they found a box.
And they found a box.
Yeah, full of Masonic regalia, as you would say.
Female Masonic clothes, robes.
It does turn out the couple were both in the Masons, but it was just the female stuff that was in here. She was in the Star, I think you call it, and it was just her stuff. I think they did.
It's basically a Masonic
the women's
party for women only, and this was the robes that we'd found belonging to the last owner of the house.
And a gavel as well.
A gavel.
So she must have been
quite high up with banging the gavel. I'm not too committed to Masonic goings on, but and neither were the couple that found this in their loft. So what did they do with it?
Got rid of it.
And how did they get rid of it?
They chucked it in the bin.
It went in the buckets.
Yeah.
They could have put it on the internet, and I'm sure they would have got a good fortune for these robes on eBay, but nope, they wanted rid of them. So
they kept the gavel though.
They kept the wooden gavel.
Yeah, they quite liked the wee hammer.
Wee hammer's good for bashing the dough in the kitchen, but they certainly, the suitcase went. It went in the bucket, gone. And from there onwards,
strange things happened. And there were anything that happened in the house after that, they were saying, well, there's some strange things going on. Simple things, even just like the television were working, it's just change channel, or they couldn't get channels, and
they heard people walking around.
Yeah,
there was like someone walking around the house, small bangs, brashes,
pictures going off the walls.
Oh, the woman in the kitchen. The owner went into the kitchen at one point, and the cupboards at eye height, they all opened and scared her rotten.
She almost got hit in the head with one.
She almost got hit in the head with one, and imagine that yourself. That's pretty scary.
And that's when they gave us a shout.
And that's when they called Roger. And we went up for a visit, and we went up for a sit down. What we normally do is we go and visit the family, sit down, we'll hear their story, get a feel for the place, but we won't do anything that night. We'll come back again, armed to the teeth, cameras and all kinds of stuff, and then go for it. When we were sitting there, they gave us a story. I found what they told us about the suitcase very familiar to another haunting way back in 1950s, where an English family moved up to Fort William. They had a house there, a shepherd's house on an estate, and they were gonna do their own thing there with crofters. They're going to become crofters. So husband and woman, upstairs, downstairs, lovely old house, and they started to modernise it. They found downstairs they had a great view, but it was blocked by these massive roses. So what they did was they went outside and pruned the roses, cut them down. They cut down the roses, and from this minute onwards, the house came alive of thumps, bumps, and crashes. They had their own poltergeist activity in the house. It ended up the pride and joy of the previous owner, who was a disabled woman who used to drag herself up the stairs to bed every night with having poor legs, was her roses. You know, she won prizes for them in the village of Forest, and she'd obviously, her spirit had taken offence to her roses being cut down, so this was her anguish. They actually saw her one night pulling herself across the floor down a corridor, this old woman, and that was it. They were out the house. The next owners of that house had the same sort of problem, to the point the house was dynamited. They blew up the house and now it's gone, but the story's still there. I gave that very story to our friends in Kennoway who listened to it. Same sort of idea, where they chucked out the suitcase and all the troubles had started. This family in and
I had something that they picked up on, was roses, because her rose bushes had started to wither outside.
Yes.
And it did turn out the woman who was in the star, her name was Rose.
Oh.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But so we sat down with the family and I gave them the story, and we spent 2-3 hours in the building, sitting there with the family. On a couple of occasions, I had a piercing cold draft that went through me. I mean, it really went through me. This is a warm, sociable house. There's no open doors. I've felt this before, and I knew then this was a case that could be very interesting for us. It has something in the house. So anyway, we said our goodbyes. We arranged to come back in a couple of weeks' time and set up cameras and go to town in the house. But we got a phone call the very next day.
And before we even got to go back, they'd found rose petals in their bed.
The story I'd given them the night before, they'd woken up that morning covered in their beds in red rose petals. Now, the guy was livid. He was angry. He was shouting. He was shouting at the house. To be honest, something was taking the piss, and it obviously heard the story I'd given the night before. So they woke up covered in rose petals. Worse was to come when a few days later they found a rose stem in the house, the bud with where the petals had come from, obviously. Yeah, and then activity racked up a bit with more cupboards bashing and things being seen. So anyway.
Yeah, that's right, because there was a full rose head inside the cupboard in the kitchen. And there was the toenails as well.
Oh.
There was a pile of toenails, behind the hi-fi sort of thing. Yeah, it was kind of strange.
They woke up one morning, went through, sat down, watched the telly, but they had a thick, dark carpet, and on the carpet, when they looked over, here's a pile of nail clippings, like women's nail clippings, all piled up in the corner of one of the rooms. And it wasn't his wife, and it wasn't the guy. It'd come from nowhere. So this was another strange thing. So anyway, me and Roger, our official night in the house came. We set up a spirit box and started to speak to various rooms of the house. Didn't start off well until we went to the kitchen area of the house. In the kitchen area of the house, something was obviously coming through in a spirit box.
Oh, hello?
Hello?
I'm getting a bit frightened. Are you out to frighten me? Because it said... Oh, God!
See your name? Speaking to us, gave us a name. I started swearing. Started swearing badly after we started talking about the robes getting thrown out the house. It wasn't happy at all about this.
You get angry. Fuck you as well. They just say fuck you. Fuck you as well.
But basically, the whole night was coming alive, and we left to go and go home and go over all our tapes and stuff, and we put together. Roger's a sound engineer, so
Yeah, obviously got names. You think you got like Al or something.
Al.
And then
Al short for Alistair.
and then but other name we got was Rodney, and it's like they've got old neighbours who have been living in like the houses for years and years and years, and they remember the couple who were in the Masons, but they were like there years ago. There've been other people after them.
The
name Rodney came up.
The man was
and
not.
Nobody knows that name.
The man was not well known. Not a nice person at all. And this is what came through on the on our spirit box. A very sweary Mary.
In this house, to come forth and introduce yourself. I need you to give me your name. I need you to tell me why you're here.
Another week later,
that?
came back and we'd 5 visits to this house. We came back another
Is that
week later
Rodney?
after we'd looked through all our stuff, and we had the same sort of results. But at one stage during the night, we decided to have a bit of a rest, and we were asked by the owners, "Do you want to have stop for a cup of tea?" And we went, "Yeah, why not?" So we're all in the living room, and they've got you enter the house. You're in a porch, then you're into the living room. To your left is a corridor with 2-3 bedrooms, and to your right there's a passageway to the kitchen. So the owner went into the kitchen, and I stood in the doorway talking to her as she's putting on the kettle and getting out the tea bags. We're just chatting, and just forward chatting, and then there was an almighty. Well, I wouldn't call it explosion, but an almighty bang.
Yeah.
And the woman was terrified. I mean, it happened right next to her. I thought the kettle had exploded.
Yeah.
But what it was a plate in the cupboard had just shattered on its own.
Left of the voice recorders running, would it?
Aye, well,
the sound of that going.
we'd stop for a cup of tea, not leaving our recorders running. But we've got some photographs of the results in the kitchen. The plates were stacked high up to the bottom shelf of the cupboard, maybe this much space. On examining the cupboard, there was no wee explosive device. There was nothing there pressing down. It was a top plate. This thing had exploded. I mean, it exploded into 3 pieces. A heavy duty dinner plate. If the Geist poltergeist wanted to show itself, then it was doing it at that moment. We weren't long for packing up that night, but I remember us sitting in the car, staring, speechless, trying to comprehend what we just witnessed. I've never seen anything like that in 20 years. The violence of it, and if you're in the same circumstances, you'd feel the same as us. We were kind of speechless for a good while, and we went back again.
Yeah, and nothing was really happening. And I switched off the cameras, and well, the camera was still on, but it wasn't recording. And there was a big ball of light came flying through.
Aye, that's right.
He's missed it.
we set up a hub in the living room where we've got a screen, and we can see what the camera is filming in the other rooms. And as we were talking, I'd come out of the kitchen. As we were talking, we could see on the screen that something huge, maybe 10 inches, something 10 inches, had just gone past the camera on its way down, like a big axe head or something. It was that kind of shape, and we both saw it, and we caught it. What it was, we've not a clue, but it was just more activity in the in the kitchen area where it was all seemed to come from. It doesn't seem like much is happening tonight.
Did you manage to get there?
Something just moved there.
Yeah.
Something huge.
Yeah.
We also have a heat-seeking camera, and so we went round the house with this heat-seeking camera, and that scored a few hits as well.
The doorway in the kitchen.
Aye. Oh shit. I hope you're filming this.
Oh, that is something.
There's something in the doorway that's trying to show itself.
Yeah.
Caught something standing in the doorway of the kitchen.
Oh.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, it was quite busy.
Oh, it's
On our last visit, this is we missed all the excitement, but in
The curtains have been thrown off.
the owner was in the garden doing some work on his garden, and his wife was at the shops, and from his view outside, he's got 2 bedrooms that you can see the windows of, but something flew past one of the bedroom windows from the inside, and he ran back in the house, went to the bedroom to find that the entire set of curtains had been ripped across the room. If curtains are going to fall, they'll fall like that. They wouldn't have been far from the window.
Yeah.
But these had travelled
And lying on the bed.
Yeah, to the other side of the bed, but ripped out the wall with the sockets that were still nailed into the wall. Whole lot had been ripped out. A big crystal vase which was sitting on the windowsill. The curtain rail poles had completely missed it, but the vase had shattered into like a car windscreen. It had shattered everywhere, and this is what we walked into. We came back and we'd missed it all, but this was the latest thing. Also, the owner had been watching the football late at night, 11 o'clock at night, and he'd finally seen a figure standing, staring at him from the kitchen area again. We got more EVPs, but we'd actually missed it.
Here she is again. Say something.
Hello there.
Ask her why they pulled the curtain thing.
Why has my curtains been pulled down? Why have you pulled my curtains down? It's getting a bit frightening for me now. Have we done something to annoy you? What have I done? Don't you like what we've done to the house? And the garden? Why are you targeting roses? No.
There's the pitch.
Is that me?
What do you mean?
Oh, well, I'm really
and that was our last time into the house, because the action, which we were getting reports every time something had happened. They'd phone us up and tell us this is what happened tonight, because we asked them to write it in any action, write it down for us, so we can keep a record. And this 5 weeks worth, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
And it stopped, and it was gone, and it's never come back again. They're quite religious, these people. They've brought in a minister to bless the house, but nothing more has happened.
I think they felt a sense they were at their wits' end basically, and because we weren't getting definitive answers really, because there's so much different things going on, and we weren't getting the full name that we could research as well.
Yeah.
And because things are just like the cuts come off and everything like that stuff.
And anything coming through the spirit box was basically angry and sweary.
So they decided to get the house blessed.
Yeah. And
things went quiet.
Things have gone quiet since then. But it's been one of the most interesting cases we've had. It's always an intrusion if we come into your house and you're living in it. We tried to capture what we could, and we got a good lot of stuff, but we never came to answers on who the actual Geist was. But the connection was with the Masonic robes, a similarity with the case up in Fort William. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Me and Rog.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
I'm getting a bit frightened. Are you out to frighten me? Because it's it. Oh God.